I hope you're doing good, gamers, because today we are gonna get into some lore. After talking about the birds and fairies of Arknights, it's finally time to analyze all of the in-game races in detail. Timestamps are in the description and pinned comment if you need them. So, buckle up, Barcaroos, and let's get started. Felines. The felines are the race made up of almost every possible type of cats we find in our world. There are many that are based on regular cats, the classical catgirl chemonomini, but it extends over that. Silver Ash and his family, for example, are based on snow leopards, while Fu Wai, for example, is based on the tiger. Felines make up the majority of the country Victoria, but can be found pretty much anywhere, as seen by, for example, Officer Swire from the Lungmen Guards. Aslans. There is one type of cats which is not found inside the felines. The Aslans are based on lions, and once were the race making up the ruling class of Victoria. As such, they were counted as different people. Right now, Siege, is the only example for an Aslan. Perros. Perros are based on dogs, and similar to the felines, there's a few variations between the subgroups. Doberman, for example, is based on the Doberman, while Beagle is based on the Beagle, and snipers are sniping the enemies. The majority of Perros descend from the country Bolivar. Rebbah. That group is based on the hyenas, who are dog-like, but are different enough to be counted separately. They are from the region named Sargon. Ursus. The Ursus are based on all sorts of bears. The majority of them come from and live in the empire of Ursus, but there's also some who are based on, for example, pandas, like Feet Eater, who comes from Yen. Lupos. Some of this game's best waifus are found in here. The Lupos are based on wolves and make up the upper class of the country Siracusa, which they rule with their family clans. Vulpos. Vulpos are based on foxes. They make up the vast majority of Siracusa. Anaty. These people are based on otters and ferrets. The question of their home country is not that clear. Two come from Colombia, one from Higashi. By the way, before you ask, of course there will be a video covering all of the countries and regions of Arknights, maybe even two. Zalaks. These guys are based on rodents. We have a mouse, a hamster, a rat and a squirrel. There is no country in which they make up the majority. In fact, out of these four we only know two of their birthplaces. Shaw is from Lungmen and Gravel is from Kazimierz. Then again, Gravel was only born there because she used to be a slave. That's, by the way, why she has an actual barcode on her shoulder. Pilosa. These ones are based on sloths. The only member right now we know is Sin, truly slothful. Sin is from Sargon. Caprinae. These are based on goats and sheep, but also on deer and elks, as one can see in the Twilight of Volumond event. Let's just say, they make up most animals that have horns and eat green stuff. Caprinae are the vast majority of the country Laetanian. The only exception to that is Beeswax, who is from Sargon. Elafia. There is one exception to the rule of horns and green things. The Elafia also seem to be based on them and are found in many different places, like Higashi and Zami. In my opinion, I would say that they are based on reindeers or maybe mooses. Itra. Here is actually another exception to the greenhorn rule. The Itra are based on the musk deer, which are usually found in very mountainous regions. That's very fitting to their home country, Kajarak. Forte. The Forte are based on all types of bisons, bulls and cows, as one can see by the shape of their horns and their thick milkers. Maybe we should scrap the rule about horniness I made up before. Anyway, the Forte are found in Minos, Lungmen, Xerac and Sargon. Kuranta. The Kuranta are based on horses and make up the majority of the country called Kazimierz. Cautus. The Cautus are based on bunnies and rabbits and are native to the region known as Rimbiliton. Liberi. The Liberi are one of the most diverse groups in Arknights. They are based on all sorts of birds, and by all sorts I mean owls, ducks, penguins and Tony Hawk. They can be found genuinely everywhere, from Yen to Lungmen to Ursus, Sami, Colombia, Sargon and Iberia. Iberia, though, is the only country in which they make up the majority of people. Archosauria. These are native to Sargon and based on crocodiles, caimans and alligators. They can be divided in two different subgroups, the one with fintails and the one with thicktails. I hope you prefer the correct choice. Savra. These are based on lizards, chameleons and similar animals. Out of these ones, we only know the birthplace of Asbestos, which is Ursus. But I think it's safe to say that they are also found in many different parts of the world, like most likely Sargon. Pythia. The Pythia are based on snakes. The only member we know of so far is Eunectes, but thanks to the Great Chief event, we know that the Pythia are pretty common in Sargon, or at least the region Gaviel comes from. Anura. The only Anura we know, and the only Anura we need, is Azurius, aka Blue Poison. She is based on a frog, her birthplace is unknown. Petram. The only Petram we know, and the only Petram we need, is Kuwara. She is based on a turtle, or tortoise, most likely a watery one, birthplace unknown. Manticore. The only Manticore we know, and this is getting boring. Manticore is a Manticore not based on a Manticore, but on a scorpion, birthplace unknown. Lung. The Lung are the men who gave Lungmen its name. They are based on Eastern dragons. Kirin. They are based on the Kirin, who are creatures from Chinese mythology. The only one we know for sure is Lysi, who is from Yen. Draco. These ones are based on Western dragons. They used to be a part of the ruling class of places like Victoria, but now are very few in numbers. Reed is the only one we have met so far. By the way, Tallulah is very interesting here, because she has a Drago father and a Lung mother, and because of that she is one of the very few mixed race characters in Arknights we know, although she gets identified as a Draco. Vouivre. These are based on Wyverns, who are dragon-like creatures from European mythology. They are found in Sargon, Victoria and Colombia, but also a place called Vouivre, or the Vouivre Alliance, but I have no idea where that is supposed to be. We could speculate about that, but not today. Sankta. The Sankta are based on angels, not only with shotguns, but also all other types of firearms. Most of the snipers you see in Arknights use bows and crossbows, because firearms in Arknights are based on Originium arts. The Sankta are one of the few races with a very strong natural affinity to arts, and their gun knights project the influence of their country, at Terrano, into the world. Sarkaz. The counterpart of the Sankta, they are based on demons or devils. They originate from Kasdil, but by now can be found everywhere, because of both the raging civil war in their country and because their current ruler, King Pharesis, sends them all throughout the world to project power. Oni. Based on the Oni from Japanese mythology. They originate from Higashi. Durin. The Durin are based on dwarves and live below the surface. They don't have a clear country defined by borders, but can be found pretty much everywhere and are pretty much oppressed everywhere. Aegir. The Aegirians are very diverse. You can find Donnies based on seahorses, sea urchins and octopuses. Most of them descend from a place called Aegir, of which we don't know the exact location because it's under the sea. I think we also should include Skadi, Spectre, Glaucus and Deepcolor, who are also based on sea life and also pretty much look like regular humans, which is one of the main characteristics of the Aegirians. I think we should even add Kuwara into the Aegirians. This is an interesting topic and might be very important to future story stuff, but let's not get too into this right now. And there you have it, gamers. Every single one of the races of Arknights described with the most important details. Some of them deserve further explanation, or let's say investigation instead, and will most likely get videos on their own. Especially the Aegirians, but also the Sankta and Sarkaz. While we are already at it, let me thank you for over 5,000 subscribers. That's a mental number, and honestly I don't think I've seen over 5,000 people in my life so far. The support you lot give me is much appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!